Donna, give me a little Facebook, a thumbs up if you can hear me here. Give me a little hearts, a little loves. People are starting to jump on like crazy. All right, so we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Everybody's live. We are back. Thank you for the thumbs up that I just gave you on Facebook. All right, welcome to Monday. Was it June 10th? June 10th. I have Justin. I have Hunter. I have Christy. I have Miranda, all in the room here. We're going to be covering Facebook. Facebook, you got me. Peggy, thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate that. If you guys have questions on Facebook right there, give me, I'll try to read those. We got Instagram, TikTok, all the other things on. So let's just move forward with what we are doing. And we're going to start with a bunch of questions. So remember, if you have a question, put the questions on there, detailed. I had somebody ask me this question on an email. Remember, if you guys do have questions and you don't want to put them on live because your name's on it or not, do me a favor. I have my email up right now. I got a ton of emails. Put your emails up right now. Send your email to pflynn@thewellnessway.com. Once again, pflynn@thewellnessway.com. So what we're going to do is this, is who else we have popping on? Masar, Adria, Jay, Joseph, Casimir, Stefani. Okay, I've always loved the names. I am horrible at names sometimes. Val Dean, how can I boost my cortisol levels? All right, great question. Let's start with that one right away. Val, what you think of this way, I suspect you already had a cortisol test done. The most common test, which I like the most, would be a saliva test, taking 4 samples. You also can do blood, but you'd only do 1 sample. I never encourage anybody to get 4 samples a day. It might be thrown off if you do 4 blood sticks per day. But you gotta remember, when you have, when the adrenals start to become hypo, what you want to do is this. You want to inhibit the breakdown of it. So taking some licorice in the morning, also ashwagandha. So I take some licorice because it decreases the breakdown of cortisol. See, most people are trying to get more cortisol broken down, but you got to do is this. Licorice in the morning, and also just only in the morning, about a full teaspoon. Now, if you're over 200 pounds, 2 teaspoons. If you're under 200 pounds, a teaspoon. If you actually then want to take ashwagandha morning and night, that would be a wonderful way of doing that. So that will help. But remember, if you have a low cortisol, that usually means you have a high level of stress for a long period of time. And stress, remember, stressors can be trauma, toxin, and thoughts. There can be some physical trauma. There'll be some mental trauma. There can be some just beating your body with a ton of inflammation from long chronic inflammatory responses. So that is quite incredible. Yes, Jessica, pflynn at the Wellness Way. So Jessica, it's pflynn@thewellnessway.com, not wellnessway.com. The Wellness Way. So don't forget to put the in there, or Jessica, it's going to be missed. So let's continue our questions and answers. All right, ladies, what do we got?
How to lower cortisol to lose weight?
To lower cortisol, great answer, okay? First of all, find the stress. Always remember that. Cortisol is just an adaptive, it's a corticosteroid. It's an adaptive stress hormone. So therefore, find your stressors. Now, can you take things like L-theanine? Yes. Can you do things like California poppy to calm the neurological system down? Yes. Find the stress, take some L-theanine, take some California poppy. You're going to see a positive effect from it that way. And just by taking California poppy and L-theanine, you will see a positive reduction in cortisol. But if you don't find the stressors, you don't find the inflammatory triggers, don't find the markers, the infections, everything that can raise cortisol, you're just going to be taking that for a long period of time, and eventually it won't work. Christy.
What's your thoughts on methylene blue?
A lot of people don't know this, but methylene blue, from a history lesson, was one of the first medications ever produced. So it's going to sound funny. Methylene blue has a very positive effect. It's so talk to your provider about it that way. But I've seen some very positive effects from methylene blue. Very positive effects.
Is HRT bad for a 35-year-old if you need it?
Remember, if you need it, medications, bioidenticals, herbs are going to be just fine. Now, I'm concerned about the long-term consequences of HRT compared to bioidenticals, compared to actually getting your hormones back to normal. But whenever there's a need, if you are estrogen deficient massively and you take even HRT, you're going to see a positive benefit. You just will. There will be a positive benefit because you're going to give some hormone, even though it's not good at mimicking your hormones, but you're going to have a positive effect from it that way. Now, that's where I'd rather see, bioidentical hormones used first. But then I'd work on really restoring your hormones. Now, there's people who went through chemotherapy, there's people who went through surgeries, people who went through some really bad things that they can't produce their hormones on their own. But then I'd encourage a person to do bioidenticals over directly HRT.
I have high vitamin D levels, 207.
Oh,
How can I lower them, and should I stay out of the sun?
the sun has such major, massive benefits beyond even vitamin D. So it's hard for me to say that. But to get 207, you either have some major kidney and liver problems, or you're just taking too much. You're just taking too much. I would never avoid the sun from a daily exposure because there's massive benefits. There's massive infrared and other things that do come from the sun besides just vitamin D production. So what I would actually do is, now remember, I wouldn't go out during the hottest times of the sun. I'd probably do it early morning or later towards the sun is actually just starting to set and things, but I wouldn't avoid the sun.
Does IVF affect your hormones long term?
No. Now, if IVF works and you get pregnant and you don't take care of yourself properly, that can do it. But IVF is just an implantation process. It's not going to affect your hormones long term. Remember, one thing that we don't realize is our body is so adaptive. If you realized how much stress everybody puts on their body from mental to physical things daily, it'd freak you out how great our body is. I apologize, I want to grab my Zevia here and stuff. So, and thank you, Kim. I will not say your last name because you emailed me. So there we go. Is there a natural way to lower cholesterol? Well, let's do this. Do you mean your total cholesterol? Do you mean your triglycerides? Do you mean your LDL? Do you mean your HDL? Do you mean, once again, the other particle sizes? You know, I'm trying to get overall, I suspect when people actually talk about cholesterol, they mainly mean the LDL. But let's start here. First thing, Kim, if you look at just the overall understanding of cholesterol, it's vital for life. Cholesterol itself is vital for life. The number one organ that actually is needed for cholesterol is actually the nervous system. It's particularly the brain. That's why if you ever look at the side effects of statin drugs, there is some neurological consequence of taking them. There's also some hormonal consequence of taking them because some of the major backbones for hormones is the backbone of cholesterol. So I don't want people to demonize cholesterol. Now, do we understand that an oxidative cholesterol after an inflammatory response in the cardiovascular system can be damaging? It can. It really can. Now, there's some big controversy about this way. Which came first? Was it the high cholesterol or was it the plaquing? Or was it the inflammatory thing? Well, here's what happens. When you first say, okay, why is my cholesterol high? Are you in a state of inflammatory response? Are you under chronic response to where LDL is circulating at a repair process? I know I watch some of these integrative medical professionals say each cell can make enough cholesterol. That's not true. My goodness, then why would the body circulate so much cholesterol if every cell can make it on its own? They say some of the dumbest things. It's like when carnivore people say, plants have defense chemicals, they don't want to be eaten. Well, if you told a cow you're going to kill it, it'd probably bite you too. Okay, it doesn't want to die either. Okay, so the concept that high circulating cholesterol is an automatic heart disease, actually totally opposite. If you see, there's some great meta-analysis of showing that as a person gets older, cholesterol levels have to go up even for them to maintain a longer life. But because why? They're under a higher state of repair. So therefore, number one, I would look at going, do I have a liver problem? Do I have fatty liver? Have I been consuming too much sugar? Are my triglycerides elevated? Do I have some chronic inflammatory damage to where my LDL is got to be constantly circulating for a state of repair? If LDL is elevated, I tell people look for damage in your body because there's going to be a state of repair that we have to really look at. Okay. Hunter, what you got?
How much milk thistle should I take for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease?
Okay. It's funny you say that. I'm just grabbing all my supplements. Milk thistle. There you go. For all you guys that are watching right now. Okay. I just took 2 teaspoons. Where's my shot glass? There we go. See, I was just taking my supplements actually just before you guys jumped on. My Wellness Way shot glass. Actually, I will do this in a second. I'll show you other things I take daily. But I just took 2 teaspoons. I'm 190 pounds, okay? So therefore, guess what? And I have a concern for my liver. I just had a DEXA scan done. And believe it or not, guys, I'm going to be transparent with you. I had a little fat on my liver. So therefore, and something I can control really easy. I have to cut down a little bit more on my sugar. I have to do some other things, but so I took 2 teaspoons. Once again, if you're over 150 pounds, I would definitely take over a teaspoon, probably 2. If you're under 150 pounds, about a teaspoon a day would be decent. Now, once again, you want to get some advice, and because you got to be careful, especially if you're a woman, if you're already anemic, be careful taking milk thistle for a long period of time. But it's very hepatoprotective, and it's great for non-alcoholic fatty liver. And just so you guys know, I don't drink. I gotta tell them a story. It's really funny. I still remember the first and last time my wife ever had a drink. It was our first date, and it was kind of interesting because we went out for dinner. We were with some friends that we knew mutually that way. And that's how we met. And we went out to a nice dance club, okay? And we're just sitting there talking, and we went up to the bar, and I ordered water, okay? And she's like, oh, you driving tonight? I'm like, I don't drink. You should have seen her face. She was like, 24-year-old guy that doesn't drink? I'm like, no, just, yeah. She's like, ooh, you're right here. I was like, I don't drink. I just never do. You say, it was nothing that ever. Now, once again, am I against alcohol? No, I'm not against alcohol. I believe that try to do the best forms if you're going to do alcohol. It's like, but it's a lot of high sugar, and I just never did. And so therefore, that's what people say, if you had a little fat in your liver, you can consume too much sugar. That's why it's called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And some people have an easier time processing sugar. Sometimes people have a little less. But therefore, what you want to do is you want to make sure you're taking things to protect your liver. So I'm taking about 2 teaspoons a day. Sometimes you need 3 based on what I'm doing that day. If I do have a little bit higher carbohydrates and I'm even eating some vegetable sources, I'm going to make sure that I have a significant amount of milk thistle there to protect my liver. So great question. All right, who's next?
What are your thoughts on the mushroom craze?
I don't think there is anything such as a mushroom craze. I believe mushrooms should be a normal part of people's diet. I believe that people should be taking a form of medicinal mushroom, preferably reishi, as a benefit. If you are a woman experience hair loss, if you're a woman that has high ADHD, I'm going to give you reishi mushroom every single day. If you look at some of the major immune factors that deal with other cancers, other viruses, even HPV, there's specific extracts from medicinal mushrooms. And medicinal mushrooms can range from turkey tail, cordyceps, chaga, reishi, all the wonderful Coriolis. I can go through all the great medicinal mushrooms. Each have different properties that affect different immune cells. So I don't believe that there's a mushroom craze. If that's the case, I've been on a mushroom craze for 30 years. Because I think medicinal mushrooms are so valuable. My daughters have taken medicinal mushrooms since they were babies. They weren't even eating food, but they were taking medicinal mushrooms. You say, and because of the massive immune factors. So those are things that I really want people to really focus on.
Will an active infection of Epstein-Barr add to cortisol levels?
An active infection of Epstein-Barr, EBV, can contribute to anything bad. Now, once again, I would expect cortisol to go up during an active infection due to the fact of helping produce some of our corticosteroids to be able to get through the infection. But if you have an active EBV, Epstein-Barr virus infection, that means you got immune compromised. Because guess what happens? It's called kissing disease for a reason. Basically, everybody gets Epstein-Barr. Basically, everybody does. It's kind of cool. Felicity, has been going through a little infection right now, and she's all snuggly, and you just give her a little kiss on the cheek. Believe it or not, mom and dad could pass Epstein-Barr to her, and you want to. It's just that the reason why Epstein-Barr is so popular is because it can have if you become immunocompromised, it can have an effect on your thyroid, and therefore even lead to some autoimmune reactions. So therefore, people are just like, oh my goodness, I can have a major effect on Epstein-Barr, on how it's transmitted. Well, of course you can, but basically everybody's going to get it. So do I fear Epstein-Barr? I fear every virus if you're immunocompromised. If a person is immunocompromised, fear the flu, fear SARS, fear Epstein-Barr, fear, fear chickenpox, because you're going to, if you're older, you got chickenpox, you're younger, you're going to do what? You're going to end up having shingles as you get older. So things to really factor in when you look at those things.
Can you ever get rid of cold sores and that virus that is in the body? And what do you recommend to take when you're under stress? And cold sores always appear because of stress.
Yes, and that's the thing. Got to remember, guys, we have to stop looking at certain viruses as pathological diseases. If you think about this, a virus becomes a part of you, just like chickenpox becomes a part of you. That virus will now reside in your nervous system, and as long as your immune system is consistently challenged, that's why I'm a fan of healthy people going through infections. Because obviously if you're sick and go through infection, it can kill you. This concept that it cannot kill you is very sad, okay? So what I want you to think about is this. is as a healthy person goes through viruses, you now set yourself up to be able to really be in a position to build an immune response. Then the viruses on the inside live within yourself, including having a virome, a microbiome, parasitology, which for example gives you a wonderful parasites that actually protect you. And once again, if they're overgrown, they can be very devastating to you. Just like if a virus overgrows, it's going to be a bad day. Just like a bacteria overgrows, it's going to be a bad day. So therefore, when you look at maintaining your immune system, always think medicinal mushrooms. Okay, so mushroom craze, as Hunter said, because that mushroom craze is going to give you the constituents that are going to, now once again you say, doc, but what's medicinal mushroom? I don't know. Is your natural killer cells low? Are your T cells low? Are your B cells low? You have to look at the factors and get your immune panel done to see where it's at. Now wait, we got another question. Here we have Erica. Thank you for the question online here. Once again, if you do want to email me because you don't want your question posted on here. Hi, Dr. Pflynn. Is a carnivore diet helpful for high estrogen and heavy menstrual cycle? Okay. Well, it might be if there is a secondary effect of you avoiding things that can be triggering to your immune system. But if I have high levels of estrogen, being a female or a male, but obviously the women are going to have a heavy menstrual cycle, but high estrogens in general. Number one, if you have high estrogens, check your liver, because your liver has to metabolize, which means convert the hormones to one form or another that can be used or ridden. Okay. Then also, if you have high estrogens, I'm also very concerned that you have low iodine. Iodine is very good at keeping estrogen under control. People think it's progesterone. Iodine has more of an effect when it comes to keeping estrogen under control. Progesterone maintains the tissues that estrogen have an effect on, okay? But if you look at, once again, look at liver issues, look at iodine issues, look at xenoestrogens, something from the outside that can stimulate that way. Now, can the carnivore diet be helpful when it comes to being mineral deficient like zinc or other nutrients or other fat soluble vitamins? And now that has a positive effect on your liver, a positive effect on your immune system, which now changes your cycle? Yes, but it's more of an indirect effect, not a direct effect. If somebody has high estrogens, do you understand this too? Women that have high estrogens are very common to have thyroid problems because there's an iodine component within both of those. So, yep. Okay.
I have had a very flat tummy after my 2 kids. Suddenly, I started developing lower stomach fat. Please, how can I get rid of this lower fat?
How can you get better lower fat?
Lower belly fat.
Yes, there's usually some fatty liver disease that's related to that. So with guys, go this. There you go. Go more carnivore. Reduce your sugars. Take some milk thistle, sesandra, dandelion root, and things like that. So.
What are your thoughts about the stomach bug that is going around? Any special things that they should be doing?
Obviously, once again, I'd say some stomach bug wouldn't really bother me. From the simple fact that if a person is having, some digestive issues or some going through a virus and it irritates the GI a little bit, just keep your immune system good. Make sure that you are staying away from sugar during time. And we are going to consistently do the things that we need to do in order to actually, make sure that we don't have any underlying immune issues that are leading to a person getting sick. But just by going through a virus itself, a little stomach bug, I don't see a problem with it. We have to stop living in fear of a protein, aka a virus, if we are just on a regular basis have a decent immune response. If you're immunocompromised, then what happens is don't fear the viruses. Be scared of the virus a little bit. Don't be exposing yourself to all the different viruses out there, because one of these could actually lead to a bad problem. But what I would encourage you to do is do the things to help build your immune system. Get away from highly processed foods. Reduce your sugar intake. Make sure that you actually are taking things that feed your immune system. Take some vitamins and herbs that are going to help this. So, yep.
Here's a comment. Hi, Doc. I am loving TWW+. Thank you for that platform. Dr. Paul Thomas's story had me crying and outraged at the same time. Truly life-changing.
Yep. Thank you. The TWW+ is nothing more than our subscription base. And if you want to get the TWW Plus for free because we were working on it really intensely through the summer. Oh, is it me or is it just warm in here? Holy mackerel. I have to do this. All right. Sorry guys, but I got to do this. I can't handle the hotness anymore. There we go. Oh, sorry. I was sweating. I was like going, all right, I got to take this shirt off or jacket off. So let's come back to here. The Wellness Way Plus is our subscription base. It's $12 a month. It's pay as you go. You can get a discount if you pay all up for 1 year. But we're going to have behind the scenes things. Because if I start talking about politics, SARS-CoV-2, if I start talking about vaccines and all things like that, I'm probably going to kick off all the platforms. So we went to a subscription base because behind the closed doors, I have different interviews. I have different things. We give you a lot of stuff. We're going to start as our cookbook comes out. Remember, August 17th. Something else special happens that week. I can't remember what happens the week of August 17th. Yeah, my birthday. I'll be 50 this year. August 17th is the launch of our new cookbook called From Scratch. Our pre-sales are going on right now. It's amazing. The book is going to be our biggest seller, even though the I Disagree book, you see behind my shoulder right there, and the I Still Disagree book right there. See, I disagree. I still disagree. For you guys, I'm looking at my Facebook page right here. Have sold hundreds of thousands of copies across the world. I Still Disagree is selling still like crazy, but I believe our cookbook will sell more just because of what I can do. So thank you, Amanda, for that email right here. Hold on, we got a question from Jessica. How can my husband lower his blood pressure to avoid medications? Well, you might not be able to avoid medications right away, especially if you're in a state of severity. So be careful, never let your blood pressure get too high. You don't want to have a stroke or anything that comes about from it that way. But here's what happens. The vast majority of men, when they have high blood pressure problems, they massively lack potassium. So a person, once again, I would start them on potassium, also Neo40 to create some nitric oxide. But then here's what happens. He has to lose weight. I'm just gonna make a judgment on it. He has to lose weight. If he has any fatty liver, if he has any stress to his body that way as far as weight, it's gonna change that. And watch when he eats, good. Can anything else be done? Yes. Go no sugar, go a little bit more carnivore for a short time, but he needs potassium. You're going to find out that the vast majority of people are potassium deficient. I can tell you right now, probably the vast majority of people listening right now are potassium deficient. You need 4,700 to 5,000 milligrams per day, which to eat that much per day is very difficult. That's why most people end up potassium deficient, including myself. That's why I have to supplement with it. So therefore, once again, I would look at those two things to start, but change his diet, get him potassium, get him some Neo40 and start there. Okay. What else we got?
Do you know why my child wakes up with night terrors the night before they get sick the next day?
B vitamin deficiencies, especially B1, but there's deficiency. And think of it this way, his body's under a high state of repair, which is going to deplete a lot of your nutrients. It really does. So therefore, I would actually, that's why organ meats are so good. They have such a vast array of your fat soluble vitamins, but also your B vitamins. And that's why red meat actually is really good. And sometimes kids have a harder time eating meat than actually adults do, especially young girls.
How do I tackle a constant sore throat?
I'd be concerned with a consistent infection or allergic reaction, because if you have a constant sore throat, your lymph nodes are swollen, and that does concern me. I would have a very deep concern of infection. Make sure to get some blood work done. Make sure you don't need an antibiotic, because if you have a chronic infection like that, you don't want it to spread throughout your body. It's already in your lymph nodes. It kind of scares me already. But then once again, if you're triggering your immune system on a regular basis, well, then you have some time to find those inflammatory markers that are going to be a contributing factor to why they're swollen and why you have a sore throat.
Thoughts on high testosterone, thoughts on high serotonin.
Okay. High serotonin. If you look at the production of serotonin, there's a significant amount of serotonin that's produced in the GI. So there can be some irritation there. Plus, when you look at metabolizing that, breaking that down, you have to be very careful that you don't have a liver issue that doesn't metabolize and break that down. Remember, all hormones, basically everything that goes to your body from a chemical, and I got a question here coming up here too about forever chemicals, PFAs. You look at your body needs to have good liver function to break it down. And that's why if you have an excess of serotonin, an excess of glucose, an excess of cortisol, an excess of progesterone, an excess of estrogen, once again, there has to be a metabolic process of breaking it down, and the vast majority exists in the liver. Some exist in the kidney, some exist in the GI, but the vast majority of things that break it down really start in the liver. See, a lot of people think like the liver is a highly toxic organ. The liver doesn't store toxins. Do you understand that? Fat tissue does. Liver doesn't store toxins. Fat tissue does. Adipose tissue. So therefore, get rid of your adipose tissue, you have a less toxic effect. And it's gonna sound funny. Want to hear something really crazy? So they did some studies, and they did this on chimpanzees and they did this on some humans. The skinnier you are when you're little, the more toxins affect you because you have less fat tissue to absorb the bad stuff. Think about that. And that's why skinnier kids that get, let's say, something injected to them when they're born, the fatter they are, less chance they have of encephalopathy and inflammation because your fat tissue brings it into there and protects you from it. Skinnier kids have more reaction to bad things. So that's why if you're skinny, be careful. You have less availability sometimes to deal with toxic effects. Now, toxins are bad for everybody, but get my point. At least toxins can be absorbed by fat tissue.
I'm 47 and my joints just started hurting out of nowhere. Can I take something?
No, I wouldn't start by taking somewhere. I'd start by looking at some of the inflammatory things. And the first thing is this, it's gonna sound funny. Your glucose levels are probably too high for too long. Do me a favor. Now it's gonna sound interesting. Go carnivore-ish for about 2 weeks. Now, once again, I'm not a carnivore person. I'm not. It's just that by going carnivore-ish, I mean have some cruciferous vegetables, have some fruit, have some vast majority of meat, and people are going to think it's totally opposite being joints, uric acid. Actually, more uric acid is produced by sugar consumption than is actually produced by meat consumption. Remember that. So therefore, by cutting your sugars out, you'll probably see that your joints change. And also get to your carb right there. Make sure you keep good joint health. It's like going to your dentist for good teeth health. Make sure that you have good mobile joints and stuff like that. So get an x-ray done. Make sure you have good cervical, lumbar, and thoracic curves. Make sure that you don't have joint degeneration. And then it can be a contributing factor.
I recently heard that the body is supposed to be 20% acidic and 80% alkaline. I've not heard this before in the Wellness Way community. Could you please explain this?
Well, the reason why I don't hear it in the Wellness Way community because it makes absolutely no sense. You know, even if you look at your urine-specific pH, your urine is just slightly basic. But if your stomach is 80% alkaline, you're in a bad day. Anybody who talks to me about alkaline or acidic diets and stuff like that, I'm sorry, makes absolutely no sense. And on top of it, here's what happens. If a virus comes into your nose, I want your nose to become very acidic. I want it to burn. I want it to be inflamed. I want runny nose because it's a protective mechanism from breaking up the virus that's trying to come into your system. But this concept that your body is more, guys, listen, anybody talks about acid-base balance when it comes to your body that way, with the exception of your urine-specific pH, is supposed to be a little bit more basic. Your stomach, anybody tells you you have a basic stomach, then you just might as well mess up every digestive process on the planet. You understand?
Just trying to sell something.
I don't even know if they're trying to sell something, because what else can you sell? You understand? I just don't get it. It makes no sense. Do you understand the pH of your stomach, pH of your small intestine, pH of your large intestine are all different, and they're all connected. The pH of your mouth is different than your stomach. And so, yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what they're trying to communicate. The reason why you'll never see it through us is because it doesn't make any biological sense.
What to give an elderly patient with dementia who won't sleep?
Okay. Whenever you look at dementia, very devastating condition. And therefore, any neurological effect, the number one thing that comes to mind is DHA. So that's why I do love cod liver oil so much. It's why I love mucuna, because of the L-DOPA that's in there. It's also why I love California poppy, to have a calming effect to the brain. Those are three things that I think are imperative for long-term brain health, because the fatty acid DHA is so regenerative. Also, bacopa is very neuroproductive. For example, I can talk about this. I had this in my concoction. So we say, Doc, what do you take in a day? All right, ready for it? I'm going to go one by one. And so milk thistle, these are the 8 liquids I take per day. Bacopa, Japanese knotweed. Does anybody know why? Can anybody tell me? Okay, here we go. The first person to email me at pflynn@thewellnessway.com of why I take, what am I trying to get out of Japanese knotweed, you'll get a free bottle of Japanese knotweed. But the first person, so from Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all you guys, Why do I take Japanese knotweed? There's one constituent that I'm trying to get from here, and it's the best in Japanese knotweed. And if you take a supplement in the name that it is at, not Japanese knotweed, you're not going to get what you really think you're getting. So why do I take Japanese knotweed? Because not based on any condition, there's a specific ingredient that I want out of here. Somebody tell me this, and you get to email me at pflynn@thewellnessway.com. And if you get it right, I will announce you on here, and I'll get your address and I'll send it to you. Okay, Japanese knotweed. All right. Golden seal. Okay. Here we go. Oregon grape. Does anybody know, if you look at what happened with metformin and golden seal, they put them up head to head, and guess who won? Guess who won? Golden seal had more effect than metformin did. All right. Then my other ones, saw palmetto. Obviously, this is going to be a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor to make sure that my prostate is good and stuff like that. Then what happens is dandelion root. Ooh, liver. Also stimulates the release of bile. That's why dandelion is so great. Do not kill the dandelions in your front yard. Go out there and throw them on your salad. Don't put any weeds or weed killer pesticides on the thing. Ashwagandha, obviously, once again, adrenal adaptive. So these are the 9 things that I take per day. Now, behind me, you probably see over there, there's a bunch of pills over there. I do take my medicinal mushrooms. I do take my potassium, and therefore I'm going to get the constituents I want. Nobody's emailed me yet. So my Japanese knotweed, if you want to, so the first person to email me, what ingredient, what constituent, what component am I trying to get from Japanese knotweed, which is the highest in Japanese knotweed, and it's in its active available form that you cannot get. So if I see a supplement that says this name on it, I'm like, it's junk. And that's why you'll never see me take that supplement. But there's a specific constituent I'm trying to get from there. And the first person that emails me at pflynn@thewellnessway.com. You know what a lot of people are doing right now? They're Googling, searching what is in Japanese knotweed that Dr. Pflynn wants to take and stuff on there. So, but the first person that does it gets a free bottle of Japanese knotweed. And is that ingredient beneficial for all people? Absolutely it is. And remind me before we end, I will definitely talk about that way. So, okay, what else we got?
What do you do for constant constipation?
Okay, obviously, whenever you have constant constipation, you've had some chronic inflammatory bowel condition from irritable bowel, Crohn's, celiac. There could be multiple factors that go on. One of the big concerns of why I see constipation is actually a reduction in bile production, because bile is a very good slip and slide for the bowel, for small and large intestine. That's why if you have too much bile, you'll actually have diarrhea. So therefore, what I do is this. Number one, make sure that you have really good stomach acid, because that's going to cause a release of pancreatic enzymes, bile, and everything, which is going to help the intestinal tract that way. Start with good stomach acid. And then I would put things like aloe juice, whole leaf aloe juice within your system. You can do about a cup a day. It's going to do one thing. I also make sure that you have some magnesium. That's going to do a wonderful job at actually, at least making the bowel better to be able to stimulate some contraction. Oh, look at now everybody's coming on. Here we go. All right. Let's see here. First one to respond at 4:38 was Amanda. And Amanda said, do you take it for cardiovascular health? I just take it, but there's a thing that happened. And actually, Amanda got it right. So here we go. Amanda said resveratrol. You were right, Amanda. Nicole, heart health. Yes, but remember, what's the ingredient? Okay. Ryan didn't send anything. So Erica, Japanese white weight ingredient. Oh, come on now. That was cheap. There we go. Okay, there we go. Let's see what else. Natalie, Japanese knotweed. It is anti-inflammatory, helping to circulate. Yes, but what was the ingredient? And Amanda, email us your address. We are going to send a thing of resveratrol. Apologize. Japanese knotweed, because the number one thing you get from Japanese knotweed is resveratrol. Any resveratrol that you buy that says resveratrol is actually a very synthetic, non-absorbable, usable source. And that's why you'll never see me take resveratrol. Japanese knotweed has the highest, and resveratrol is not only for cardiovascular health, it's for all cellular health, every cell of the body. And therefore, that's why I love resveratrol. It's in the best form of Japanese knotweed. So, yes. All right. Good job, everybody.
Dry eyes at night and they hurt badly. What to do?
Vitamin A deficiency. You're going to find out people have a lot of vitamin A deficiencies based on the fact that they have a gallbladder removal, that they don't eat enough vitamin A, that they are kind of vegan. And it's important to understand that low vitamin A Bad gallbladder function, bad stomach function can lead to dry eyes significantly. Now, can you have some infection up there? Yes, but if you both have dry eyes, you probably have some vitamin A deficiency. And that's why eating retinol is very important.
Thoughts on peptides?
It's more of a medical injectable thing that way, so I don't like to make a comment on it, but I will tell you this. They do work. They do. Go to your integrative doctor if you want to know more about that, but they do work.
My 15-year-old son experiences itching skin every time he bathes or takes a cold shower. What could be the cause?
15-year-old, every time he does what?
Takes a cold shower.
Actually, I would be very concerned of an autoimmune condition. I would actually get his autoimmune markers tested, because with that kind of response, I'd be curious to see if his TPO antibody is elevated. You might have an early thyroid issue.
What do you think is the best collagen to take for women in their 30s?
I don't think there's a best collagen to take for a woman in her 30s. I think that keep your inflammatory things down, eat really good proteins. Collagen has a good protein source, but you're still missing some amino acids that you need. I don't consider collagen a good source of just protein. I think collagen is really good for specific amino acids, but for what you need for tissue regeneration, protein muscle synthesis, hair, other things, I think that there's better. I think collagen does a wonderful job of giving you some branch amino acids, some of your essential amino acids, not all of them. So therefore, go to your meat sources instead of actually looking at collagen sources.
When is the right time to take apple cider vinegar? Would you even take it before like little snacks?
Yeah, I like it. I think apple cider vinegar is something great to take all the time. The acetic acid has such a massive benefit for liver and other cells that, and especially for keeping insulin levels very maintained. Guys, don't be so, I see this right now on the internet, kind of bothers me a little bit. Everybody's big in like insulin spikes. I think that, remember, that'd be like saying cortisol spike is bad. That'd be like saying inflammatory spike is bad. If I go and working out in the gym, I hope I have an inflammatory spike, because you know why? I'm going to have an inflammatory response of trying to produce muscle. There's going to be it. And I want this to swell up a little bit, you understand? But it's going to come down. Insulin spikes go up and down. If insulin stays high for a long period of time, you're going to end up with insulin resistance. Just like if glucose stays high for a long time, if blood sugar spikes for a short time, big deal. If inflammation spikes for a short time, big deal. So therefore, don't get so big into what happens initially, what happens chronically.
My daughter's 22. She's depressed and doesn't have her period regularly. Help.
Yeah, I would suspect she's starting to have already androgen dominance. Get her thyroid hormones tested plus her Dutch test. But here's what happens. Get her off her sugar. Now, once again, keep her more on the carbohydrates that are more fiber-based, but get her off her sugar right away, and then get her labs done. Because it seems like some androgen dominance.
Is Schisandra best taken in liquid form? I'm
Yes.
just trying to steer away from liquid supplements.
No, every herb is the best liquid form. I will debate anybody on that. Remember, just like I covered, guys, you remember, every Saturday morning, I do a different perspective. That's my long-term teaching. These are simple question and answers. I do little clips, but the best thing you can ever watch is go back to the old ADP shows and go back to my current ADP on Saturday morning. And what's going to get a chance to live the things. I can show you the difference of extracting an herb from liquid compared to just grinding it, compared to soaking it in water, compared to all these things. If the herbs were the best in powder form, I would use that. If the herb was best in alcohol, I would use that. And that's the thing. So I want you to understand that liquid herbs are always the best. They work more quickly. You have a higher concentration of the constituents, everything. If there was a better way, I'd do it. Okay, we got time for one more question. What do we got?
How to help with ADHD naturally?
First of all, it's probably a little boy, I suspect, on here. When a person's been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, first thing, you have to change their diet. You have to remove all sugar from their diet. You really do. It's the reason why, if you look at a ketogenic diet, kids do I'm not saying put a kid on ketogenic diet, but if kids have any neurological problems, really having a good fat-based diet is really good for the brain. It really is. And taking the stimulation away from too many available glucose molecules and fructose molecules is a good thing. So therefore, and I'm not saying pull away fruit from a kid, but I'm saying if you look at just eating some good meats, some good veggies, and some good fruits and get rid of all ultra processed, all even processed, I'm even saying organic cookies, organic crackers, any grains that way, I think you're going to see a massive benefit. But then support the brain with cod liver oil, support the brain, once again, with Bacopa, which has been effectively shown to actually have an effect, creating different neurological responses, neuroprotective, neurological growth, and also then Mucuna. Once again, a form of L-DOPA, which can really turn into all of our calming neurotransmitters, and also cognitive ability. But if a child is diagnosed at school, especially if it's a boy, of ADD and ADHD, it's not a kid problem, it's a school problem. You know what I'm saying? Little boys aren't meant to go to school the way school is today. Do me a favor. Oh, my phone's right there. Let me have your phone. Okay, thank you. Oh man, my arms look good on this. Look at that. Okay, no. That was fun. All right, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to picture a phone 200 years ago. Oh, there wasn't one. I want you to picture a phone 100 years ago. Do you understand? It's different than it is today. I want you to picture a phone 30 years ago with a cord. I want you to picture when we went to no corded phone, you had to pull out the antenna. I want you to picture the first ever cell phone. It was a bag phone that you plugged into your lighter thing. I want you to picture a phone before it became a smartphone. There's been advances in technology, and I want you to picture a car from the first Model T. Now picture a classroom 200 years ago as a picture a classroom today. It's not much different. Do you see the difference? Our education system sucks. You understand? And that's why if you've ever noticed, I cannot wait till, do you understand that the vast majority of kids do not need to go to school, they need this. They can learn right from here. They're on there all the time anyways. You understand? Is that every child? Most boys. You understand? Most boys. I have one daughter, with the exception of the social aspect, Calista would have thrived staying on her phone, studying that way and watching class and doing things that way. I just don't think little boys, I think boys are not meant for school. You understand? I got some criticism the other day because I said, listen, men don't need counseling, women do. Not that they have any problems, it's just that they have to understand themselves and their emotions always change. They shall be analyzed those. Guys just need to avoid their emotions and do what's right. It's that simple. We all have emotions. At least women have a lot of good emotions. Men have very terrible emotions and stuff. See, the concept of ADHD and ADD diagnosed by a school is usually a female teacher that wants them to act like little girls. Sorry, prove me wrong. And that's why I'm so against teachers saying, well, your child's misbehaved. That's called being a child. It is. Do you know by nature, men are supposed to be rebellious? That's what makes men men. That's what one of the characteristics that separate men and women is nature and nurture dramatically different. If you say nurture, you don't picture a boy. You don't picture a man. You picture a young lady or a little girl, and that's why they grab a doll. I used to shoot my daughters. I used to shoot my sister's dolls with a shotgun or shoot them with a bow and arrow. I did. You know what I'm saying? That was the greatest thing ever. Because once again, I was just playing around. I was a country boy. We had a bow and arrow. Didn't have a target. So what did I do? Put one of my sister's dolls up there and shot. It was kind of cool. I used to blow off her. I used to shoot a BB gun with my sister's Barbies and My Little Ponies. You know what I'm saying? It's called being a boy. Man, today, look at Hunter's laughing like that. It's like, today, man, most of these people think I'm crazy by saying that stuff. Everybody's going, yeah, that's called being a young man. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, be very careful when people diagnose your child with ADHD or ADD, especially if it's based on a school system. And it's like, no, my kid has a hard time focusing. Really? Let him play a game on an iPad. He'll sit there for 10 straight hours. If you gave him a diaper, he'd probably pee in his pants so he didn't have to get up and go to the bathroom. So don't tell me your kid can't focus. A little boy's bored out of his freaking mind. So my little rant for today, my little way to end. I have one last question on here from Facebook. Do we have any clinics in Canada? Not until you get rid of that guy called Justin Trudeau and stuff. And get this, I gotta tell you something funny. People don't understand I study politics a lot. Canada, you just passed a bill to push your election off by 1 week. Do you know why they did that? Because then what they can do is this. The people that were in your parliament and everything, because they now been there long enough, if they would get voted out, they wouldn't get paid the rest of their life. And now by extending for 1 week, automatically all Justin Trudeau's buddies get paid the rest of their life from your tax dollars. Great job, Canada. See, be careful of your governments. Because once again, governments have a purpose. It's just that they're overextended and stuff like that. So that being said, guys, have an awesome day in Canada, US, Australia, all you guys that are watching right now, all you guys from Hawaii that said hi. I'll be out there in November. Can't wait to see you guys again. Gonna do some work with the doc out there. She's awesome, Dr. Katie Gravison. Don't forget to stop by and say hi to her out there. But yeah, we'll see you else in November because I see a bunch of love from Hawaii coming in that way because you guys are, 5 hours behind right now? Well, it's almost lunchtime by you guys. So, all right, guys, we'll see you guys soon.